welcome back to MOVIEidol. So here is my review of episode 12 of The Walking Dead titled Guardians, and man, was this episode good. I don't know why, but it seems like every episode so far, just in this back half anyways, has just been getting better and better. That ending, that had me up on my couch, and Beta, wow, he totally stole the episode. There's so much to talk about. Just a quick reminder though, make sure to check out my teaser breakdown for episode 13 coming out within the hour. Also, I was away quite a bit this week. I had a lot of personal stuff going on, so that's why I was pretty absent all week, but I'm here now. I'm going to be here all week. I think I posted on Monday and then on Friday. I literally think I posted just 2 videos this week, which is new for me. Anyways, before I jump in, I do want to warn you for spoilers for tonight's episode of The Walking Dead, and I mean major spoilers. So the episode begins with Alpha and Lydia. They're talking about what happened at the hilltop, and this started the theme of the episode as it relates to Lydia and Henry anyways. Their relationship definitely got put to the test today. I also do want to say that Henry wasn't that annoying in tonight's episode. I think maybe it was because we got the annoying part out of the way, but he definitely didn't come across as, I just didn't hate him as much as I did in like the last few episodes. And I think it's simply because like the actor is a good actor. And I think no matter who the actor was in that position, like you're going to be annoyed with the character doing that, like for just chasing this love, like this teen love, you know, creating this, all this drama. Now that he's actually there, now that he's actually seeing what Alpha and Beta can do, you know, it kind of feels like justice a little bit. Not really quite yet, but it felt good seeing Henry realize that like the gravity of his actions and his situation, you know. I don't know if he's going to learn his lesson from this. I'm not saying I completely love Henry as a character and that he doesn't annoy me completely. Just in tonight's episode, he was at least okay. Luckily, in the end, Whisperer Darryl came in to save the day. Now they're not really going to have to deal with that, at least for the time being. I do imagine something's going to happen. And this is where I'm just really confused, but I'm happily confused, is that this moment happens way later in the comic. When this moment happens, pretty much right after the Pike moment happens. And it's much more peaceful than this, but this has been changed completely. Darryl is literally walking into there. Well, not walking, he's obviously walking with a bunch of walkers, but he literally went in there, took Henry and Lydia. Now we know why the Beta versus Darryl thing is going to be happening. I'm guessing for sure in next week's episode. It has to be happening in next week's episode, right? Like 100% for sure by now. Beta is pissed off. Like Beta is pissed that Darryl killed so many of his whisperers. I thought this Beta versus Darryl thing was Darryl fighting Beta and fighting back on Beta, but no, it seems like Beta's retaliating against Darryl, and Darryl's just defending himself. No idea as to where Henry and Lydia are, so I'm hoping they're safe. Also, no Tara or Magna or any of them in this episode, which was definitely a change. We got Alexandria in return. We haven't caught up with them in a while now. Before I discuss more of that Whisperer stuff and the ending with like Alpha and Beta, especially Beta, I want to get to all of the other stuff. For one, Michonne eventually decided to join the fair, and this only happened after most of the people, and especially Aaron, like they realized that there really is no council because no matter what we do, you just have the power to veto everything. They introduced that idea in this episode, and then they ended up fixing it near the end. One thing I did like though is that Michonne is kind of right about Eugene and Rosita's trip to bring in that relay or remote amplifier thing or whatever to the tower. She was right, like because they did that, because Michonne didn't know about that and they kept it secret, they ended up missing and Jesus ended up dying, right? All of that happened because of that. And so Michonne is right in a way, you know, if we just stayed in this community, if you guys just listened to me, we would all be safe. Though you can kind of make that explanation, I think, for things in life in general, right? I think if you stayed in your house forever, your chances of getting hit by a car, your chances of, you know, all of that are definitely much lower, but what kind of life are you living? Like, what are you doing, you know? In Michonne and Aaron's scenario, there was a lot of stuff going on out there. And especially with the Whisperer threat, they for sure needed to help all of them out. At least join this fair at a minimum, right? One line that completely shocked me was how Michonne cared, or said that she only cared about Alexandria. Sadiq says something about what happened, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he says, what do we do when the kingdom falls? And Michonne says, well, Alexandria at least gets to live, which I was like, that is such a crazy change for the character, at least from who she was earlier this season. It's not really too much of a change from who she was in season 3. In season 3, she was a lot like this. Current Michonne is a lot like the very first time we've ever seen her. She was completely shut off from the world, only cared about herself. After the tragedy of whatever this X-Scar means, after Rick's apparent death, she's just completely shut off from the world again. Her and Negan's storyline, I do think, is leading somewhere for Negan. Michonne, as you know, is leaving in season 10. She could be leaving at the end of season 10. We really have no idea. But I think I know how they're setting up Negan getting out of the cell. My prediction right now is I don't think Negan's getting out of the cell at all this season. what I think will happen is after the Whisperer Pike moment, once that Whisperer border thing happens, Michonne will refuse to fight back because she doesn't want to deal with that. Yes, she did give in to the fair here, but I do think getting into a whole battle is a totally different scenario. Negan in this episode said he wanted to become a leader, or at least he wanted to help out like that. Judith also said that he wasn't a monster, and so I think that's what they're hinting at right now. I think in season 10, once Alexandria is like fighting back against Michonne, saying like, we want to fight, we want justice for Rosita's death, if she ends up dying anyways, Negan will somehow get out, and I do think he's going to get his comic escape, but I won't spoil that here, which I do think will lead to a certain person's death. Again, I'm not going to get into that here. It's really, really crazy, but I think all of that for sure is happening in season 10. Now, Rosita and Gabriel, that was totally something I was not expecting to find out in tonight's episode. Gabriel knows, and he kind of seems fine with it, I guess. Like, he seemed very unsure because he wanted the child to have the biological parents as, I guess, the child's parents. But at the very end, he walks in there with Rosita and Sadiq, and I'm just very confused on that communication. It seems like he's okay with the situation and he's going to help Rosita, but you could also read that like it's some sort of like poly relationship. At least that's the vibe I got there. Eugene's proud of Rosita or something, I don't know. Also, amazing shot of the windmill. We never get to see that windmill. They spent so much money and took so much time to build that amazing windmill. We've only seen it a couple times this season. Tonight, we got to see it a ton, and I loved it. Now, on to all the Alpha beheading stuff. That was crazy. This was, like, my honest reaction to that. I was mind blown. I was not expecting to get that in this episode, at least with just how it happened. I kept thinking she was going to use a machete, but she uses like some sort of wire, and it just happened so fast. That right there, like I've been saying for I don't know how many weeks now, I've always said, when the Whisperer Pike thing happens, it's going to be the reveal of all of their heads on these pikes. But we as fans or as viewers need to have a visual of what that looks like. And if you notice in tonight's episode, AMC allowed us to actually see the visual of that happening. So awesome job on AMC's part. That was brutal. That was gory as hell. And I'm not even kidding. After watching that episode, that's one of the only visuals I have in my head right now. Like, I'm going to remember that scene. Henry's going to remember that for the rest of his life. Whoever ends up on those pikes, that's what's going to happen to them, and it's going to happen that fast. If it happens to Rosita, it's going to happen that fast. Which I should remind you all, 3 more weeks until the pikes. Now, Beta. We gotta talk about Beta. Holy man. Okay, Beta, Ryan Hurst. I love Beta. I love the character so much. I really do. From the back, he actually looks like comic Beta. I don't know if any of you guys noticed that, but he actually looks like comic Beta. It's insane. I love the deep voice he has. I just love the presence. I love that he's taller than everyone, and he actually seems like he's way taller than everybody too. Like the gold teeth, like the carving, the mask, that was amazing to see. The character's just brutal. He's vicious. I love his introduction. Actually, I wasn't too big of a fan of his introduction because they already released it in a sneak peek, which I was a little annoyed with, but everything else that we got in the episode with him, I absolutely loved. Whisperer Darryl was super cool though. I love that he got the idea to do that. I love that it was a surprise. That was my favorite moment in the episode, which is hilarious because I don't know if you guys remember this. In episode 7, I believe, around there, I don't know if it was in my review for episode 7 or if it was just in a separate video around that time, but I suggested that we could see Darryl dress up as a Whisperer because in his camp, he had a bunch of stuff that he skinned. That ended up not being related anyways. It seems like he just took a Whisperer mask, but still really, really cool. But I'm going to leave it here. Tonight's episode was just mind-blowing. The ending was pretty shocking. As a comic fan, I did not see any of that coming, and this is change that I really do like in the show. I'm wondering now what it means for the rest of the season. How do the pikes happen if what just happened now already happened? Well, Darryl doing what he just did, I think, is enough for them to retaliate, right? I know I just posted a theory on how I think certain events are going to play out for the rest of the season, but I'm really questioning that now, which I want to add. I'm not bummed out about at all. Like, I want my predictions to be wrong. What fun is it watching a show if you're constantly predicting it, right? So good on Angela Kang, seriously, for constantly changing stuff up. But we know what's happening next week for sure. Darryl versus Beta. Now I think we know why they're fighting because we never ever knew the motive, right? Before tonight, and now we can see it. Beta's pissed off after what Darryl did. That fair is happening very soon too. Actually, to be more specific, the fair is happening in 3 weeks. So in 3 weeks, we're going to see, I don't even know who on those pikes. So you better stock up on tissues because it's going to be very dramatic as hell. Next week, we have Darryl versus Beta. The week after, a Michonne flashback episode. And the week after that, the pikes. With the week after that, the finale to season 9, in which we're expecting to see Snow for the first time. So we're only going up from here. Again, post your thoughts down below. Stay tuned for my teaser breakdown coming up within the hour. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.